Hey yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're getting our final review of Kingdom and Crown by Machine Head. So, this is the first time for us to review a Machine Head album on this channel, and it's been an interesting week for me, but I'm going to pass the floor to TV Fish to get his thoughts.
Well, when I first heard this album, I thought it was quite good. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff here. And early on in the week, I still felt that way, and then I started to find a few things here and there that I thought, how do I really feel about that? Now let's talk about what does this album present? Well, it's a concept album, it's got a story to it, and in this story of an album, there are some interlude tracks. Right. 3 of them, to be particular, and on a first listen or few, it's fine. It feels fine. It feels like, okay, I'm getting this aspect of the story, right? Like, this is the development. This is obviously talking about this. The guy who lost his mother. The guy, lots of killing from the 2 major characters in this story. And once you get to a certain point of listening to this album, because we listen to these albums all week constantly, right? Yeah. Like, even in a rotation or not, we're constantly listening to the album. Okay, throw it on again. You get to a point where you start getting tired of that, especially when you shuffle the album. There was a point where I shuffled the album and got 2 interludes back to back, and I thought, okay, skip, like, I want the action, right? Yeah. Interludes can work. Interludes can be seamless. Interludes, even like these, can work well. But when you have 3 of them, it gets challenging for the listener to shuffle the album ever. And it's a concept album, so obviously it's meant to be played front to back, but yeah, the shuffle button exists, so why not try it, right? Yeah. So that's kind of one of the issues I ended up having. Rob Flynn's vocal performance is interesting because I feel like half of it is great and half of it is weird.
Okay, which half is which?
Well,
I'm curious. That's odd. That's an odd thing to say.
For me, the weird half is the harsh vocal performance. It just sounds... we talked about this earlier on in the week, and you said that his harsh vocals don't really sound like harsh vocals, they just sound like someone kind of like aggressively grunting.
Aggressively talking.
Aggressively talking.
That's what I said, yeah.
Which, after you said that, the more I listen to this album, the more I'm like, you know what? It kind of does sound like that, or the way that he enunciates some words kind of sounds like weird. Like, I think he
puts a lot of H's in his, like, H sounds in his words.
Yeah, I mean, ironically enough, I'm about to mention an H word that he says in Slaughter the Martyr, where he says hypocrisy. He said hypocrisy. Okay. And I'm just, that kind of puts me off a little bit. But then right after that section of Slaughter the Martyr comes an amazing section, which is the chorus, which leads me into the great part of his vocal performance are the cleans. There's so much emotion in this clean vocal performance. There's so much range. Very pretty. Arrows, in Words from the Sky, which is the last track, amazing track. I really like that one a lot. One of my favorites, honestly, and I wasn't expecting it because it focuses more on the melodic aspect of this album, which has a strong foundation. And the clean vocals sell it really well. The intro to Slaughter the Martyr, beautiful. I love it. The only problem is that 2-minute intro should be its own track.
3-minute.
3-minute intro.
3-minute intro.
Should be its own track. I think once the band kicks in, that's when Slaughter the Martyr should start.
Agreed.
It is not a 10-minute song. It's like a 6-minute song with this like 3-minute intro, which makes 9 minutes. But you know what I mean. It's like a 6 or 7-minute song with this really long intro tacked on, which should be its own track. And it's a great sounding track. Don't get me wrong. I love it. And I think it would work in a shuffle as well, unlike the interludes. But it shouldn't be part of this track. I feel like if you want to hear the cool riffs that are in Slaughter the Martyr, or the cool chorus as well, you gotta get through this intro, which I didn't mind that much because I think it's a great intro anyway, but I can understand that for most audiences, if they want the action, they want the action, let them have that. When the band kicks in, that's when the song should start. 2 of the singles, there are 3 singles. We reacted to 2 of them, I believe. My Hands Are Empty is actually a song we reacted to in like 2020, I believe.
That was old, yeah.
A long time ago. And I checked out our thoughts after that song just to see, like, okay, what did I think 2 years ago? And I thought it was really good, and so did you.
Yep.
What do I think now? Yeah, it's really good. And I think another part of that is that it's a bit more focused on the melodic aspect of it with this really pretty sounding chorus. The grooves are good. The harsh vocals do not sound too weird on this one. And it works. I also kind of feel similar to Unhallowed. It's just not as good as My Hands Are Empty. Choke on the Ashes of Your Hate. I enjoyed that one. Become the Firestorm. I remember hearing it at first and liking it, but the more I heard the song, I felt the song doesn't know what it wants to be.
Yeah.
And I think a perfect example is the chorus of this song. You got this brutal, a brutal track with really hard riffs and these harsh vocals, and you got this random clean chorus that sounds very out of place.
It doesn't sound like Rob either. It sounds like another vocalist.
Whether it is or isn't, I'm unaware.
I don't know.
But on top of that, you got the guitars doing one thing, the drums doing like complete grooves that don't feel like it's like nothing's gelling. It's like three different ideas that are not really coming together. When they do the chorus at the end of the song, which is cool that they change things up riff-wise at the end, even though they do a key change, the drums change and do get better. I think it fits better that way. I think it's like, okay, this is what this should sound like. They kind of messed it up earlier on. But yeah, I kind of felt like, at first, the second half kind of felt weaker. And then after time went on, I kind of found that the album felt more like a complete package. It just kind of felt like it was a little bit up and down, and I feel like if you tweak some things, it'll really shine.
Okay.
As for any other notes, at the halfway point of Kill Thy Enemies, which I guess is like the chorus kind of, the vocal thing that Rob is doing kind of sounds like something you'd hear Burton C. Bell do. Like sonically, it's like, oh yeah, that sounds like a thing Burton C. Bell would do.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, and I think
I kind of hate to see that comparison. Yeah, for sure.
I think it's a unique moment for the vocals of the album. There's no other point in the album where that thought came into my head. Only there. So I'm like, okay, that's a cool, unique thing there. That's neat. But yeah. So what did you think?
Well, you know what? I do agree with a lot of the things you said. One of my biggest takeaways was the fact, like you said, I don't want to just repeat everything you say, but just put my own kind of words into it. You listen to this album as a concept album from beginning to end. On a first listen, maybe second listen, it sounds pretty good. These interlude tracks fit the album very well. But as somebody who listens to the album a lot, these are just skippable tracks. They're useless after a certain point. They're not the same kind of interlude as other albums where it's like a musical interlude kind of thing. There's more like stuff going on.
It's like you hear like footsteps and then someone's talking and then
dialogue and stuff like that.
It feels like it's a little bit too direct in its presentation as well. It's like,
exactly.
Hey, this is what's happening in the story right now. Here it is. This is it. And I feel like you could convey that a little bit more musically and with more direct ways of explaining it,
Exactly. So these tracks basically became skip tracks for me. And yeah, again, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but Slaughter the Martyr, the first song, I started skipping this track because I didn't want to listen to the 3-minute intro. It was boring me. And you know what? That's a shame because the rest of the song is pretty good. And that's a shame. But I was just like, fuck it, I don't want to listen to this. They should have separated it and made it an interlude and a song, but they lost me on it. I didn't hate the album. I didn't love the album. I'm very impartial on this. I feel like, and I don't know Machine Head's full discography, but The Blackening is
fantastic.
That's their magnum opus. A lot of people probably agree with that. I went back and listened to that, and I don't think that album aged well. I remember loving that album back when it came out. I was super fond of it. I still like it. There's nothing wrong with it, but I didn't listen to it again going, oh yeah, this track, oh yeah, this track. I found myself going, was this track always this long? Was this always this kind of dull? Like, it really did not age well for me. And I feel like this album was trying to be that album in a lot of ways, and it hit the mark some places, but in a lot of places it failed. I'm not exactly sure why I think that. A few things reminded me of The Blackening, but that's kind of my only main point of reference. I've listened to other Machine Head too, but never got in depth with them other than that album. There's a few songs in here that are decent, okay? Choke on the Ashes of Your Hate was decent. My Hands Are Empty is decent. No Gods, No Masters is decent. Rotten is pretty good. There's nothing I really hate about this. Oh yeah, let's talk about the vocals. You mentioned the vocals. I want to say that I think these harsh vocals are bad. I think Rob's a bad singer, but his cleans are pretty good. His heart, I don't know how to word it without just sounding like I'm ripping on it, right? Like I couldn't do better. I'm not a singer. I couldn't do better. So it's not really fair for me to be like, oh, he sucks, he sucks. I don't feel fair saying that, but as someone who listens to metal and has been listening to metal for a long time, like Rob's harsh vocals just are not appealing to me at all. They just really aren't, and it puts a bit of a sour taste in my mouth listening to it. But when he sings clean, I much prefer that. I think he's got a way better clean voice, and I try to picture what this band would be like if it was all clean, and I think I would probably hate that too. So I'm kind of in this position where I'm tossing between two different versions of Machine Head that I don't like, and that's probably a testament as to why I don't listen to this band that much. I think that they play great music, they have great riffs, their guitar playing is phenomenal, but as far as the overall presentation of the songs, mainly due to the vocals and songwriting, this band just fails to hit the mark for me a lot of the time. But again, I can't say it's bad. It's not really it's more of a me thing, is basically what I'm trying to say. So I don't know, I'm torn on the album. I didn't hate it. I got bored of some stuff, but I still stuck through the whole week and listened to the album a lot, enjoying things here and there. But I'm ready to rate it, so I'll let you go first. I'm curious what you're going to give it.
Well, Of Kingdom and Crown is an album I think overall is actually good. I think there's more virtue in this album than there are drawbacks. However, the drawbacks really draw it back from being an exceptional album. And if you tweak things here and there, this album would be fantastic. So, despite, the kind of vocal issues and a little bit of the pacing issues and such, which hold it back, I'm going to give it a 6. It's good, but not anything great. It could be if they fix a few things.
Yeah, that was well put. I agree with what TV Fish just said, but I'm going to give it I hate to be this petty, but I'm going to give it a 5.5. And honestly, I don't want to just undercut your score by half a point. I was thinking 5.5 already. I just feel dumb saying that now. I was thinking maybe I should just give it a 6 entire score, but 5.5 is how I felt, so that's what I'm going with.
I mean, it's close enough of a score. It doesn't make that much of a difference. It
doesn't make a difference, but I feel like, oh, I didn't like it as much as you, so I got to undercut you a little bit. But yeah, I don't know, man. I know a lot of people love this album. I saw this people saying 10 out of 10, and this album's phenomenal, and people are asking, are you guys reviewing Machine Head? Are you reviewing Machine Head? So I know I'm probably going to piss some people off, and even your 6 might piss some people off, but
that's just our
at the end of the day, I feel like we gave pretty solid reasons as to why this album didn't quite hit the mark for us, and honestly, if you thought this album was a 10, I would love to hear why you think it's a 10. And I would also love to hear what you think about this album compared to other Machine Head albums, specifically The Blackening, which is, again, the album that everybody kind of says is their best album. So, with that said, that's the end of this video. So leave your comments down below. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Valcel.
I'm TV Fish.
I'll see you guys in the next one. Keep those heads banging.